morning mesoscale convective system, or MCS, formed over portions of Nebraska and Kansas. Jack's chase plan was to intercept more discrete storms at the western end of the MCS in central or south central Kansas. This plan would work out well meteorologically. However, the driving execution getting to the storms was much less good. Jack wound up intercepting a good storm near Larned, Kansas, but only after getting off the interstate too soon and taking a less than optimal route. At about 2:15 p.m., the storms to the north became visible as Jack drove north from Pratt, Kansas. The storm cluster at the left edge of the picture became the first chase target. After some issues involving road construction west of Larned, Jack watched the oncoming storm from a spot along US 56 to the northeast of Larned. These new cloud bases to the west showed that the storm was free-forming southeastward or southward, and that it was time to get south of Larned before the hail core arrived. The rest of the chase would occur in this part of south-central Kansas west and northwest of Wichita. The next set of pictures and video was taken between Larned and Belpre. Here are two panoramas of the supercell taken along US 50 east of Belpré. The first at 5 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and the second at 5:25 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Here is a 5x time lapse of the core area of the HP supercell, taken during one of the stops in the vicinity of Stafford and Sylvia. The stops in the Stafford-Sylvia area provided an opportunity for another panorama of the HP supercell. This was Jack's first good look at a second supercell that formed southwest of the Larned supercell. At this time, it was located to the west of Pratt, Kansas. About an hour later, The new storm looked like this in radar data as Jack watched it from a hilltop to the west of Kingman, Kansas. After Jack got a hotel room near the Wichita airport, a severe thunderstorm hit the airport with a reported wind gust of 62 miles per hour. Here is an animation of the Dodge City, Kansas radar showing the evolution of the many severe storms that occurred on May 9th. And to close this chapter, here's some clever advertising that Jack saw near his hotel in Wichita. Look at the name on the restaurant. A mid to upper level trough moving eastward from the Rocky Mountains was expected to trigger severe weather on May 11th. Computer model data suggested there would be two main threat areas for tornadoes, one from northwestern Kansas into northeastern Colorado, and the other in central Oklahoma. Near midday, the Storm Prediction Center, SPC, put the best risk of tornadoes that afternoon and evening close to Jack's home base in central Oklahoma. And at 2:15 p.m., the SPC put out a discussion saying a tornado watch was likely for a large part of the potential chase area. At that point, Jack got ready to hit the road. This chase would take place in the area shown on this map, in south central Oklahoma, near and to the south of the Oklahoma City metropolitan area. An early storm near the Red River attracted many chasers, but Jack was not as enthused by it. It was tracking towards the mountains of southern Oklahoma, and in addition, other storms were developing to the north of this first storm. Jack did get this view of this first storm, taken at the most southern point of his chase near Elmore City, Oklahoma, at 6:13 p.m. Central Daylight Time. By 6:30 p.m., the storms to the northwest were intensifying as the southern storm fizzled. Jack headed to intercept the stronger storms near Dibble and Blanchard, Oklahoma. At a subsequent stop in North Blanchard, here is a panorama of the storm located to the west and northwest. This 10x time-lapse shows a developing mesocyclone west-northwest of Blanchard at about 7:29 p.m. Central Daylight Time. During the time lapse, a Doppler radar on wheels passed by on its way to observe the storm. In this next sequence, the pacing is a little slow because Jack was trying not to imitate the movie Twister. Here's a 5x time lapse of the supercell taken about 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time from East Interstate Drive in the northern part of Norman looking westward. At about 8:20 p.m., Jack took shelter in a less than ideal position under the eaves of a gas station as the mesocyclone and a wet rear flank downdraft approached. Here is a view of the rain-free base over the wall cloud looking towards the northwest. Radar data near this time did not show any tornado-like signature, but it did show a broad circulation just to the northwest with strong winds in the rear flank downdraft. At about 8:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time, this area of rotation with a possible wall cloud was seen to the north of Jack. This 5x time lapse is looking northeastward and upward at the cloud-free notch caused by the supercell's rear flank downdraft. At about 8:38 p.m. Central Daylight Time, this cloud feature to the north looked a lot like a tornado, and is shown in the following clips that lasted for several minutes. However, there were no power flashes apparent to show ground impact, the radar data was ambiguous, and the WFO Norman report did not show a tornado in this area. Whatever that cloud feature was, it was the last gasp for this storm. The storm weakened from this point on. At about 8:45 p.m. Central Daylight Time, it was decision time, whether or not to go south to intercept the next supercell passing south of Norman. This would have been perilous, as the dangerous part of the storm was already near or over the available southward roads. So the best decision was to stay to its north and watch the lightning show that the supercell produced. At this point, Jack gave up on the chase due to darkness. He then filmed the following various lightning flashes and bolts from his hotel window starting around 9:37 p.m. The tornadic circulation Jack saw was officially shown as two EF0 tornadoes. This matches the coming and going of the condensation funnel seen in the videos. To close this chapter, here are radar and satellite animations of the severe storms of this day, courtesy of the National Weather Service Weather Forecast Office in Norman, Oklahoma. The main chasing action this day shifted northward into the central Great Plains, well out of Jack's reach. However, supercells were possible closer to home base in Oklahoma. And based on the available data, today's chase would be near and just southwest of the area covered by yesterday's chase. All storm chasers who have chased long enough have had experiences that meteorologically or otherwise resemble situations from B-movies or horror movies. Jack had been in no storms form situations, something out of The Sun Shining or Storm Chase, the Non-Wrath of Subsidence. At the other extreme, in May 2001, Jack got caught in the people chaser derecho and played a victim's role in either Attack of the Gust Fronts or Jack versus the Squall Line. The first storm Jack watched this day was located near Ninica, Oklahoma when he first started observing it. It had a nice tilted updraft, but it was far from monstrous. By 4 p.m., the storm still had a nice appearance. However, during the next 30 minutes, it shriveled up and disappeared. By 4 p.m., Jack was between Bradley and Alex, Oklahoma. The first storm was to the north and fizzling, while two stronger storms were to the southwest. This is the initial view of the two new storms to the southwest, with the closer storm in the middle and the farther away storm to the left. While the storms to the southwest approached Jack's location, there were more storms seen developing in the distance to the west and northwest. At about 4:20 p.m., a rain-free base appeared on the left side of the closer of the two storms to the southwest, seen here just a little above the horizon. This 10x time lapse shows the evolution of the rain-free base as the storm made its approach. The nearest storm was dying, so it was time to head for the next storm to the southwest near Rush Springs. The radar also showed another storm forming just north of Cement. The fastest route to the Rush Springs storm called for Jack to pass through the rain and hail core of the closer storm. In a normal plane supercell, this would have landed him in a victim's role in the Storm Chaser Smasher Fest, Hail Shaft, or Death of a Windshield. The closer storm at the right center had actually weakened to the point where hail wasn't a problem. The next storm near Rush Springs is seen to the left of the cat. This set of time lapses was taken at about 5 p.m. Central Daylight Time north of Rush Springs, looking generally towards the south-southeast. Torn between two towers, feeling like a fool, chasing both of you is breaking all the rules. Which storm to chase? The Rush Springs storm looked better on radar and looked like this visually with the appearance of a rotating updraft. While the storm west of Chickasha was less impressive on radar, but looked like this with a nice lowering out of the tilted updraft. After some dithering, Jack went after the Rush Springs storm.
This one, despite that radar reflected me some
another shriveled up draft. And another storm gone, and another storm gone, the chasers in disgust. Hey, you get sunburned too, another storm bites the dust. To make matters worse, these storms north of I-40, while stronger, were also struggling to become persistent supercells. There were no good storms in Jack's area. At this point, Jack bagged the chase since he was not yet desperately seeking supercells. Only a few severe weather events occurred in Jack's chasing area. So, what went wrong? This portion of the Norman, Oklahoma weather balloon data plot from that evening is called the hodograph, and it plots the observed wind with height. For supercells, the upper right portion of these lines should not look like a squashed bug, and it is possible that the upper level winds were not strong enough for the storms to become supercells. To keep things in perspective, a bad chase day for Jack was a good day for the people of central Oklahoma, who suffered little impact from these storms. But to this chase day, and the chaser horror flick he was in, Jack said goodbye, good riddance, and the end. Fortunately, another chase opportunity would come. After the fizzling storms of the previous afternoon, overnight thunderstorms in Oklahoma used up much of the available instability. This and other changes in the weather patterns would leave only a marginal risk of severe weather within chasing distance of Oklahoma City. However, an upper-level disturbance moving northward from Texas could create enough shear for possible supercells and tornadoes, especially between Oklahoma City and the Red River. Since this was the last chaseable weather during Jack's vacation, a trip south was a go. The expectations for this day were low, but the results would far exceed the expectations. By early afternoon, the best chance for supercells appeared to be in an area of southeasterly surface winds near and to the east of a low-pressure area located over southwestern Oklahoma. Some of the names on this map should look familiar, as the zone favorable for severe weather was near and to the southwest of the areas that Jack had chased in the previous 2 days. The initial target was a cluster of showers about to cross the Red River from Texas, seen here from US 70 west of Waurika, Oklahoma. This set of time lapses of the developing and approaching storm was taken starting about 12:50 p.m. Central Daylight Time near Hastings, Oklahoma. This time lapse was taken from along US 70, starting at around 1:10 p.m. Central Daylight Time. This time lapse was taken about 5 minutes after the previous clip and at a point a little bit farther to the east. During the subsequent chase northward from Waurika, the storm looked increasingly better developed and ominous, with the formation of a dark core and a ragged shelf cloud. And in radar data, it was showing increasing rotation, particularly after 2 p.m. Central Daylight Time. By 2:45 p.m., Jack had caught up with the core of what was now an HP supercell located just west of Rush Springs. This time lapse is taken along US 81 near Ninica, Oklahoma at about 2:56 p.m., showing the surging shelf cloud moving northeastward towards Jack. This panorama was also taken during the stop southwest of Ninica. Unfortunately, some cars along the busy US 81 got caught in the picture while it was being taken. Jack then made a bit of a tactical blunder by taking the back roads away from Ninica. While this worked from a traffic standpoint, the storm outran him. At about 3:09 p.m., the storm showed this ragged wall cloud, or wall cloud wannabe, near the leading edge of the storm's precipitation core. Radar data during this stop suggested two circulations, one near the possible wall cloud, and another one possibly buried inside the storm's rain and hail core. radar data near this time showed some rotation near where the possible funnel cloud occurred. However, they did not conclusively show it was a funnel. Jack did not see this feature in real time, he only saw it when he was reviewing the video later. A couple of minutes after the apparent funnel, the storm core looked like this from Oklahoma 4 south of Mustang, looking generally toward the west. By 4:30 p.m., the storm was moving into the western side of the Oklahoma City metro area. However, it was losing its supercell identity as other storms formed nearby. Since Jack was only a few miles from his hotel, he gave up the chase at this point. This 5x time lapse was taken between the Will Rogers Airport and Jack's hotel at about 4:30 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Shortly after this was taken, the Wiley Post Airport, located several miles to the north, reported a wind gust of 66 miles per hour. An arc cloud formed along the leading edge of the outflow air from the storm cluster, and just before 5 p.m. Central Daylight Time, it looked like this looking eastward from Jack's hotel. How it related to the supercell was unclear, but by 5 p.m., the low pressure area previously over southwestern Oklahoma was now centered near Oklahoma City. To close the book on this chase, here is an animation of radar data from the Oklahoma City radar showing the storm of the day in Oklahoma. This chase more than made up for the fizzling storms of the previous day. After the threat of severe weather near Oklahoma City ended, Jack's flight home on May 18th provided him one more opportunity to see storms, this time from the air over the Gulf of Mexico.